What's it like to sit next to a stunningly beautiful woman on a train? Awkward as hell. Because she starts playing an obscene video in public. I politely reminded her to turn it down. She didn't even look up and replied, "Obscene video? This is my home surveillance." Even though her eyes were filled with murderous intent, I still felt a strange sympathy for her. But then, the next moment, I suddenly noticed a familiar, demonic tattoo on the woman in the video. Holy shit. Isn't that my girlfriend Willow? Chapter 1. Holy shit. Holy shit. Holy shit. I grabbed her phone, almost wanting to dive into the screen. My fingers were trembling along with my hands. How could this be? Could it be a coincidence? But the woman in the surveillance footage, completely naked, was definitely Willow. I've known her since childhood, and we've been together for so many years. There's no way I could be mistaken, and we're getting married next month. The thought struck me like an axe chopping a hole in my chest, wind rushing through it. Had she really cheated on me? The beautiful woman beside me asked. Is it really that exciting? Could it be your first time seeing such a scene? She leaned on her hand, observing me with interest. She was right. This was indeed the first time I saw Willow in this context. Right now, she was kneeling in front of a man, a white chain around her neck. The shocking image hit my brain like a sledgehammer, and the girl's overly excited voice echoed in my ears. Finally, I reached my limit. I couldn't hold it back anymore and vomited. And of course, it landed perfectly on that woman's skirt. Exciting, she shrieked, covering her nose and mouth, and reflexively jumped up, rushing straight to the restroom. A few minutes later, she came back out with her skirt wet. I saw that familiar hatred in her eyes again, but I didn't give her the chance to make a scene because we were just about to reach the station. I had to find Willow and confront her. I was gonna slap her face off. I gritted my teeth and asked, "Where do you live? Take me there now." She replied, "What? Weren't you satisfied with what you saw earlier? Want to see it live?" I asked, "Don't you want to watch?" She looked at me skeptically and said, "Of course, I want to, but what does it have to do with you? If you need that kind of thing, I can give you a website link." "No need to." "Fine. It's my fault for being weak and indecisive, though I was trying my best to keep it together." My hands were still trembling uncontrollably. She noticed something was off and finally figured it out. She asked, "Bro, this can't be a coincidence, right? That woman, is she your?" I gritted my teeth and said, "Yes, she's my girlfriend. We're getting married next month." She gasped. With a look of sympathy, she said, "Sorry for your loss." I snapped back. "Stop talking nonsense. You're no better off, so let's not judge each other." Okay. I stood up, put on my jacket, and asked, "So, what's it going to be?" "Let's go catch her in the act," she said. "Of course we'll go. Let's go." Chapter 2. On the way to her house, I learned that this beautiful woman's name was Anna Sue, and the man in the surveillance footage was her fiancé. She was originally supposed to be in a neighboring city, accompanying her mother, but since her fiancé's birthday was coming up, she decided to come back and celebrate with him. And that's when she saw all this. After quickly explaining her situation, she pursed her lips and asked, "So, what about you? What are you doing here?" My mind was in turmoil, too heavy with emotions to engage in small talk. So I mumbled an excuse. "A fortune teller told me I had green light above my head today, so I came to check if it's true." Of course, that wasn't the reason. I had come to discuss next month's wedding with Willow, but those details were too trivial to explain over the phone or WeChat, so I decided to come see her in person. I didn't expect to find this. Anna said, "It's not over yet." She stared at the surveillance footage and sighed sincerely. "I have to say, your girlfriend really does have a great body. But, is she always this kinky?" I was speechless, pulling a smile that was worse than crying, unsure of how to respond. because when Willow and I were together, she was a completely different person, to the point where I could hardly believe the person on the screen was her. It was like I'd never known her at all. Anna continued, Look, candles and whips. Your girlfriend's sexy ass. I feel like I want to smack it myself. She shoved the phone in front of me. I gritted my teeth and said, Lower your voice. Is this supposed to be a show? She said, What? Don't you find this exciting? Do you think just anyone gets to see this? She nodded, saying, What a wonderful life experience. I was at a loss for words. She really seemed to have something wrong with her. As I looked out the window at the passing scenery, I suddenly noticed how fast my heart was beating. My palms were drenched in sweat. Had I really prepared myself to catch her in the act? What was I going to say when I saw Willow? Forget it. I'll just say nothing. I'll take action immediately, because at this point, if I don't slap her until she doesn't recognize her own face, it feels just as uncomfortable as shit stuck in your ass without being able to get it out. I silently pumped myself up and followed Anna's lead as the car quickly pulled into a villa area. Wait, isn't this the famous wealthy district in City A? Anna is a rich girl. Why, her boyfriend cheated on her. Stop. George, are you crazy? Is this really the time to think about that? Focus on yourself first. Before I could speak, Anna said, Calm down. Catching someone in the act gets easier with practice. When the door opens, you need to stay calm. Don't do anything rash. It's not worth ruining your whole life for a scumbag woman. I rubbed my forehead and replied, All right, I'll do it your way. The next moment, looking at her calm demeanor, I blurted out, How do you look so experienced? She raised her chin proudly and said, Don't ask. I'm a woman with stories. We didn't have time to talk much more. Her house had arrived. Chapter 3. After getting out of the car, she stood at the door, hesitating to go inside. Instead, she took out her phone and called home. She said, Hey, I'm back. Come downstairs and open the door for me. The voice on the other end clearly sounded panicked. They asked, Anna, why are you back? Didn't Aunt just have surgery next week? Anna replied, There was a last-minute change. What? You're not welcoming me back? The other side responded, Of course not. Wait a minute. Anna asked, What are you doing? Why does your voice sound strange? The other side answered, Oh, I'm running. Anna said, All right, I'll wait for you. Hurry up. I looked at Anna speechlessly and asked, Can you stop being so childish? Why not just open the door? She snorted and said, Why the rush? Look at how scared they are. Ha ha ha. The surveillance showed two naked people frantically putting on clothes. I watched as Willow hurriedly crawled under the bed. Seeing her ridiculous actions made me burst out laughing. I deliberately dialed the phone and asked, Where are you? Why didn't you answer the phone earlier? She lowered her voice and said, I'm doing my hair. Didn't I tell you yesterday? Don't call me unless it's urgent. I'll call you when I'm done. That's it. I'm hanging up. Fine. I'll see how she finishes. Whether she comes out looking fully dressed or not remains to be seen. Anna asked, Are you ready? I took a deep breath and said firmly, Ready. Open the door. Beep. Fingerprint unlock successful. A man in shorts and a shirt immediately appeared in front of us. His clothes were disheveled, his pants rolled up, and one button on his shirt was misaligned. I looked around and immediately noticed black stockings peeking out from the wardrobe. Without even having to check, I knew it was Willow's. The room was filled with a strong fishy smell. It was suffocating. Thinking back to the intense scenes I'd seen in the surveillance footage, my heart was in turmoil. When the man saw us, he quickly adjusted his hair and forced a calm expression, saying, Sigh, honey, you could have just come in yourself. Why did you have me come downstairs to open the door? Seeing me, he asked, May I ask who this gentleman is? Anna replied, He's the one here to catch you in the act. The man asked. What? What? Anna said. I said. He's here to catch you cheating with me. Makoto. It's no use pretending anymore. The man, named Makoto, visibly panicked. But he still tried to put on a tough front, saying, What am I pretending about? Anna, what the hell is going on? You don't seriously think I'm cheating on you, do you? Anna asked. Isn't that what's happening? Makoto asked back. What evidence do you have? Anna sneered. She pulled out her phone and showed him the surveillance footage, saying, I've had cameras installed in the house for a while. You really thought I was stupid, didn't you? Makoto, don't you remember what you promised me last time? As she spoke, she gave me a look. I nodded and immediately bent down, yanking the mattress off the bed with a loud thud. There, tied up with a chain around her neck, Willow was exposed in front of us, completely naked. Chapter 4. That's not what happened. Honey, let me explain. Makoto stepped forward, grabbed Anna's hand, and desperately tried to explain. She's a saleswoman for beds. She was just measuring the size of our bed. I don't even know her. Baby, I love you so much. How could I? Bang. I yanked him towards me and punched him square in the face. I cursed. I've had enough of this. I already told you there's a camera in the room. Even with the footage, you're still playing dumb. You think we're all idiots. He was stunned by the punch. Anna and Willow, standing nearby, were both frozen in shock. I had completely lost it. I didn't care anymore. What the hell are we wasting time for? Why drag this out? Now's the time to act. Stop talking. The audience came to watch the fight, not to see you both bicker. I thought about the years Willow and I had spent together, about our wedding next month, about her betrayal, and about how, in this very moment, she was hiding under a man's bed. All the blood in my body rushed to my head with a loud roar. When I met Willow's eyes, my rage exploded. I grabbed the nearest golf club, held it tightly, and, following the swing technique for hitting golf balls, swung at her. You weren't doing your hair. So if you have hair in that area, does that count as having hair? After all this time, I didn't know you were moonlighting as a prostitute. You disgust me. Willow, you're the kind of woman who deserves to be slapped into oblivion. I hit and cursed and hit. I was completely out of control. Makoto, terrified, tried to intervene, but I swung back and punched him. I grabbed a bottle of alcohol from the table, smashed it, and then used the broken neck of the bottle to strike him in a certain area. Before long, he was kneeling, begging for mercy. He didn't dare move anymore. Willow pleaded, George, please calm down. Let me explain. Okay. She clung to my arm, her voice choked with sobs. It's not what you think with him. I snapped. Then what is it? I saw it with my own eyes. Willow, I saw it. You've been playing me for a fool. And now you have the nerve to ask me to calm down. Calm down my ass. I gripped the bottle tightly and swung it, hitting her squarely in the face. Her pitiful screams echoed in the room. The next second, she collapsed on the floor, unable to stand. She screamed in a hysterical tone. Are you insane, George? I gritted my teeth and said, Yes, I've lost my mind. You've driven me insane. She asked, Do you even know what you're doing? I laughed. Of course I know. I'm taking your life. You filthy piece of trash. Is that not obvious enough? Looking at Willow, whose face had turned pale from pain and trembling, I yelled, I've been with you for 8 years. Willow, 8 years. Do you even understand how I've treated you? We were about to get married. I gave up everything to marry you. And this is how you repay me. Memories of our time together flooded back, and I couldn't control my emotions any longer. I broke down and cried. But to my surprise, Anna, who had been watching from the sidelines, suddenly tapped my arm and whispered, Don't cry. We're in the same boat here. I'm live streaming right now, and if you cry, you'll lose all your momentum. I was shocked. What? You're live streaming? I looked at her phone and saw that the view count had already skyrocketed to over 1 million. I was speechless. Chapter 5. Are you out of your mind? Anna. After realizing what was happening, I raised the golf club and furiously demanded, "Why the hell did you start a live stream? Did you get my permission? Do you even know this is a serious invasion of my privacy? Do you believe that one swing of the club and you'll be done for 2? She responded, "Don't do that. The betrayed boy. Don't hurt the allies." I gritted my teeth and snapped, "Who the hell are you calling the betrayed boy? Who's the betrayed boy?" "Oh, right. I am the betrayed boy. Willow cheated on me. I'm the real deal. The betrayed boy now. Although I haven't fully accepted this reality. It has happened. The evidence is undeniable. Willow is lying here, undressed, in front of me, and her affair partner is lying at my feet. Screw it. Whatever. If I've been betrayed, I've been betrayed. No matter how much it hurts or how difficult it is. It won't kill me. As long as I don't die, I'll find a way to get past this. There's always a way to let go, to look forward, to restart life." With that thought, I suddenly felt a lot calmer. Willow, at the end of the day, is just a woman, right? If she's dirty, throw her away, like garbage. There's no need to dwell on why she's dirty, how she got dirty, or what to do with her now. It's unnecessary. Hello. 120. Someone's injured. Hurry up and come. My thoughts were interrupted by Willow's crying. I suddenly realized that Makoto was still on the floor, trembling in pain. His pants stained with a large patch of blood. Looks like he's really going to have a problem this time. I chuckled. "Why are you calling 120? Afraid he won't be able to use his tools on you anymore." I was furious and slapped Willow hard, sending her sprawling to the ground. I gritted my teeth and cursed. "If you had called 110 to report this, I might not have looked down on you so much. But look at you now. You're just disgusting." Willow curled up in the corner, covering her face, crying. Makoto, trembling, said, "Anna." He looked pale and helpless, pleading with Anna. "Anna, are you just going to watch me get humiliated like this? Please, save me." Anna rolled her eyes. "But he's not wrong. Makoto, you really are disgusting." Makoto stammered. How can you do this to me?" Anna replied, "I've been wanting to do this for a long time. How many times have you cheated? And you still don't realize. I didn't call you out before for Ito uncle's sake. But this time, you brought it on yourself. So don't blame me." Makoto shot back. "But we're engaged. Your Sue family can't get by without our Ito family." Anna responded. "That was before. Things aren't so clear-cut now." Makoto asked. "What do you mean?" She said. "Don't worry, Ito's young master. You'll find out soon enough." Enough. Let them argue. My head hurt, so I decided to leave. As I stepped out of the villa, I realized my hand was numb from gripping the golf club so hard. It's scary how uncontrollable emotions can be. You never know what you'll do when you're consumed by rage. But it did feel good to release some of that anger. A voice called out from behind. "Wait a minute. The betrayed boy." Anna ran after me. I turned around just as 120 paramedics were loading Willow and Makoto into the ambulance. I asked, "What's up? You're not going to the hospital?" Anna looked at me confusedly and asked, "If you're not going, why should I go? You're the one who caused all of this. You know." "Fine. Whatever," she continued. "By the way, the betrayed boy, how did you get so strong? Have you trained before?" I replied, "No, I just lift weights regularly, so I'm a bit stronger." She asked, "Then why did you hit them so hard? Aren't you worried you'll break them?" I laughed. "They won't be broken. I'm a doctor. I know my limits," she said. "But his," I replied. "Oh, you mean him? Yeah. He probably won't be using it anymore." "Anything else?" she said. "Yes, actually." She pulled out her phone and showed me a QR code, saying, Add me on WeChat. The betrayed boy. Like you said, we're both victims of betrayal. This is fate. It's only right we become friends. I shook my head. No thanks. We won't be seeing each other again, she said. You never know. Then she ran in front of me and blocked my way, clearly determined not to let me leave unless I added her. Fine, I'll add her. After everything I've dealt with today, none of these people are normal, and I can't be bothered to argue anymore. Goodbye. The betrayed boy. Nice to meet you, she shouted at my back, and I waved in response before walking away briskly. Chapter 6. On the way home, my phone was blowing up. I didn't even need to look. I knew it was because the whole thing had blown up online, and now all my relatives and friends knew about it. The internet is terrifying. In just a few hours, Anna and I, two unrelated strangers, were being affectionately called the betrayed duo by netizens, and some even started shipping us together. Comments from the internet read, I don't care. I think the betrayed boy and the betrayed girl look great together. I think so too. Such a weird and fresh combination. I've never seen anything like it. Oh my God. The betrayed boy is so cool. Watching him take down the scumbag. And the slut was just so satisfying. It's like a power fantasy novel. I'm calling it. This is the feel-good novel of the year. Thanks to the betrayed boy for saving my breasts. Looking at these overwhelm me. In comments about me, I felt like my head was about to explode. What the hell is going on? That damn Anna. What's the point of starting a live stream for no reason? Now it's too late to take it back. Being cheated on is one thing, but making it public for everyone to know what's so honorable about that. I could already imagine how people would look at me when I get back. And my parents. Just then, my phone rang again. Speak of the devil. I took a deep breath, trying to calm myself down, mentally preparing for a scolding. Hello, Mom, she said. You still have the nerve to pick up the phone. Do you know what kind of trouble you've caused? Now you're a public figure, and your dad and I are completely embarrassed because of you. I asked, what reputation have I lost? Wasn't Willow the one who wronged me first? She replied, how dare you say that? Family matters should never be aired. Do you think it's honorable for everyone to know you've been cuckolded? And you hit her so hard. Don't you feel bad about it? I was stunned. What does she mean by this? Could she really want us to get married after all this? I interrupted. Wait, Mom, are you implying? She said. Don't worry about what I'm implying. Where are you right now? I said. On the high-speed train. Heading home, she said. You better come back. Willow's parents are already at the hospital, and you need to go too. When you get there, remember to be sweet and apologize properly. As she said this, she started crying. How could you do this? You've been with Willow for so many years, and you were about to get married. And now this happens. How are you going to live with her after this? I was speechless. I'm not living with her. Of course. We're breaking up, she said. Breaking up? What are you talking about? There's no relationship without its ups and downs. Willow has been with you for so long. And if you just abandon her like this, who will ever want her in the future? As a man, you should be more magnanimous. No one is perfect. You can't just throw someone away because of a mistake. This is real life, not a novel. There's no such thing as an ideal life. When I heard this, I felt like my lungs were going to explode. I really didn't want to argue. It was just too exhausting. So I ended the call. They didn't stop, though, and kept calling. I kept hanging up. Eventually, I couldn't take it anymore and blocked them all, including all the calls from relatives. Chapter 7. Looking back, this whole situation was mostly my fault. It was me who insisted on making my parents accept that I wanted to be with Willow. We were childhood sweethearts, and I had pursued her for years. At first, my parents didn't approve of Willow, because she grew up in a single-parent family. Her father had cheated on her mother, and her mother had even committed suicide because of it. This incident left Willow with serious psychological scars. She couldn't bring herself to date anyone, let alone get married. In her eyes, marriage was something unfortunate, and loving someone came with a price. Until she met me, she said I was her redemption, that marrying me was the greatest blessing the heavens had given her, and that she never wanted to be apart from me. She said her demonic tattoo was proof of this. She said, "George, I will only recognize you as my master for life. I will always love you and follow you." We were truly happy back then. This happiness fooled many people, including my parents. They not only accepted that I was with her, but they also treated us as if we were already married, just without the ceremony. Their values were simple. Life was about the little things, and many problems could be ignored and passed over. Even though they witnessed her affair, they still thought I would forgive her. But how could I? It was impossible. When I got home, feeling dizzy, I looked at my phone, filled with unread messages and missed calls. I felt suffocated and didn't know how to face these people. I couldn't tell who was truly concerned and who was just enjoying the drama. So, I turned off my phone. I couldn't deal with it anymore. But the next day, when I woke up, I received a message from Anna. She said, "The betrayed boy. Latest update. Your girlfriend's face is ruined, and it's the kind of damage that can't be fixed. Ha ha ha." I rolled my eyes and replied, "What girlfriend? Stop cursing me." She said, "Sorry. And also, thanks for helping me beat up Makoto. He's totally ruined now." I replied, "No need to thank me. It was just a small favor." She asked, "Are you free in the next few days? To show my gratitude, I'll treat you to a meal." I replied, "No thanks." I put my phone aside and went about my day, getting ready for work. But when I arrived at the hospital, I noticed my colleagues were all looking at me differently, some with sympathy, some with curiosity, some with respect, and even disdain. David from our department came over excitedly and asked, "Dr. Wang, is it true what they're saying online?" I asked, "What are you talking about?" He said, "About you and Sue's princess. They're saying this was all part of a plot you guys set up to break apart the business alliance between Sue's group and Ito's group." I was speechless. What kind of nonsense is that? Did you read too many novels? Can you say something I can actually understand? He handed me his phone and said, "Here, see for yourself." I took the phone and almost had my eyes blinded. The media had completely lost their minds. They were saying the live-streamed infidelity scene was something Anna, the Sue family's princess, had planned, and I was just an actor she hired. And her goal, to destroy the business alliance and even ruin Ito's group. What the hell? Anna and I barely even know each other. I wasn't interested in these baseless rumors. Let them talk, I said. I've got nothing to hide. David suddenly exclaimed, "Wait, I remember now. George, I knew this Sue family girl looked familiar. She came to our hospital a few months ago. I even told you about it." I asked, "When was that?" He said, "About a few months ago. I couldn't forget because she's such a beauty. I even took a picture of her. Let me show you." He quickly flipped through his phone's gallery and handed it to me. It was her. Seeing the date, my hair stood on end. That day was the exact day I confessed to Willow. She had waited for me after work to go to the restaurant I had booked, and I had brought a big bouquet of roses. Could it be that Anna saw this moment? If that's true, it means Anna already knew that Willow was the one having an affair with her fiancé, Makoto. Did she then secretly investigate me or even follow me, all just to track the status of my relationship with Willow? And when the time was right, did she expose their affair, using me as her pawn? Then, Anna successfully broke off the engagement with Ito's group, ruining their reputation, and whether I live or die doesn't matter to her. After all, I was just a pawn in her game. I didn't dare think any further. I felt chills all over my body. It was like I had unknowingly been caught in a massive net. And before I could even struggle, there'd be no escape. But why? Just then, the department head came over. He said the online scandal had gotten so out of hand that it was affecting the hospital's reputation. He suggested I take a few days off to rest. I was already planning on taking leave. Now, I had to find Anna and get to the bottom of this. Chapter 8. I was shocked. Just as I stepped out of the hospital, my mom rushed over, her face red with fury. She raised her hand as if to slap me, but I grabbed her wrist before she could. I looked at her, speechless, and asked, "What do you want?" "Mom," she snapped, "you've grown some guts. George, you've blocked your own parents. You're not coming home, and you don't even go to the hospital to see your fiancée. I think I should be the one asking. You, what exactly do you want to do?" I chuckled bitterly. "Mom, after everything that's happened, you still think I'm going to marry her?" she retorted. "Then what? Who was it that begged us to let you two be together? I'm telling you, we've come this far. You have to take responsibility. Whether you want to or not, you're marrying her." I was utterly frustrated, completely unable to communicate with her. I rolled my eyes and tried to walk past her, saying, "This is not up to you. Even if I end up alone for the rest of my life, I won't marry her." My mom shouted after me, "Fine, you don't want to marry her. Then I'll die right here in front of you." I froze, speechless. Before I could react, she suddenly bolted toward the traffic, as if she didn't care about her life. My scalp tingled with panic, and I rushed forward to grab her, saying, Okay, stop doing this. I'll marry her, all right?" She turned to me, her eyes blazing. "Are you serious?" I sighed, defeated. "Yes, I'm serious," she said. "Then go to the hospital right now. Apologize to her properly. And next month, the wedding is on as planned." I stood there in disbelief. This was crazy. It was like she had some chip in her brain that was programmed to force me into marrying Willow. I had seen women helping other women before, but I had never seen a mother sacrificing her son like this. I began to wonder if I was even her biological son. How could she push me so mercilessly into the fire? At the hospital, she first checked with the doctors about Willow's injuries. Once she confirmed that the facial injuries could be fixed with surgery, she sighed in relief and turned to apologize to Willow's mother. After all, our families had known each other for years, and it wouldn't look good to break ties over this. But Willow's mother was still furious. When she saw me, she immediately began scolding. "So what if Willow cheated? What's the big deal? Why are you being so petty?" I replied, "Are you saying it's okay for me to have a mistress behind your daughter's back?" She scolded. "How can it be the same? Men should be a little more lenient with women. Do you know how much pain it is for women to give birth? You're a man. You don't have to experience that. And besides, you haven't even married her yet. No matter what happened before the wedding, after you marry her, she'll be loyal to you, right? How does hurting her like this benefit you? You didn't even come to comfort her or apologize these past few days. That's already bad enough. George, don't you remember? You were the one who chased after Willow for years, saying you liked her and wouldn't marry anyone else. Have you forgotten?" I replied, "I haven't forgotten." I paused, then continued, "But you need to understand something. First of all, just because women give birth, does that mean they should be treated better? Who decided that? Is there a law that says so? If they don't want to give birth, they don't have to. It's not the man's responsibility to give them a life." As a firm believer in contract theory, I could never understand this logic. Only when both parties agree can a contract be formed. One side proposes, and the other agrees, creating obligations and responsibilities. Otherwise, it's just forced sales. If one side feels disadvantaged, they can negotiate for better terms, or simply walk away. But it's wrong to say, I feel disadvantaged in this aspect. So you must accept it and give in on another. I continued. Second, just because I pursued her doesn't mean I signed some kind of disclaimer. My pursuing her doesn't justify her cheating on me. You raised a daughter like Willow. Honestly, I'm not surprised. Because you're not a good person yourself. Willow's mother gritted her teeth. You! She raised her hand, intending to slap me, but I pushed her away. She stood up, trying to grab me again. But before she could, someone suddenly grabbed her by the sleeve. Mom, what are you doing? Let go of him. It was Willow, awake now. Her head and face were bandaged, bruised, and still bleeding in some spots. She looked beautiful. She angrily told the elders to leave. She had something to say to me. Great. Now my discomfort had turned into physical nausea. The familiar feeling of disgust returned. She said, George, you finally came to see me. She smiled at me. You're willing to hear my explanation, right? You're going to give me a chance, aren't you? Chapter 9. I was speechless. What else is there to explain? Willow, I don't understand. Why do you have to treat me like a fool? She said. I didn't. It's not what you think with Makoto. It's just, I interrupted. Just a simple physical relationship. I couldn't help but scoff. So you're saying that as long as there's no emotional betrayal, it doesn't count as cheating, right? She nodded. George, our world is fake. It's all about appearances. The spiritual world is the only real one. Think about it when I say vase. What you see is all kinds of vases. Some tall, some short, some big, some small. But if we think about the concept of a vase is a container for flowers, and that concept never changes. We all know that truth is eternal and unchanging, while the fake things are the ones that change. So in reality, those vases, whether tall or short, are fake. The vase in the spiritual world, the one that holds flowers, is unchanging and real. Do you understand? You really shouldn't take the material world so seriously. I struggled to keep my hands from slapping her as I tried to endure her continued challenge. She went on. It was just a momentary impulse with him. He said that I'm getting married next month. And if we don't do this now, it'll be too late, because the consequences of cheating after marriage are far worse. I thought, physical pleasure is just an illusion. There's no need to take it too seriously. What's done is done. So I agreed. My head was buzzing, my anger rising. I gritted my teeth and snapped. Shut up. A concept is just a result of analyzing and synthesizing the characteristics of something. It's material first, and concepts come later. Enough with your semantic tricks. Are you saying all this just to disgust me? My emotions were beginning to spiral out of control. I said, Willow, let me make this clear. No matter how much you try to justify yourself, I will never forgive you. Every time I look at you now, I feel like I'm going to vomit. You're the biggest stain in my life. She asked. So, you're really determined to break up with me? Then, I replied, of course. Her attitude immediately turned cold. She said, it's because of Anna, isn't it? You loved me for so many years, wanted to marry me so badly. How could you just break up with me like this? Tell me the truth. Is it because of Anna? My patience was at its breaking point. I didn't want to say another word to her. I turned and walked toward the door of the hospital room. She called out behind me. Do you think she's some kind of good person? Don't be foolish. She yelled at my back. She's been using you from the start. George, we've all been played by her. According to her, Anna met Makoto while studying abroad. The two families were fierce rivals in business. But Makoto fell in love with Anna at first sight and begged his family to arrange their marriage. Coincidentally, at that time, Sue Group was facing a financial crisis and urgently needed an investment. Ito Group extended a helping hand on the condition of a marriage between their families. This helped resolve Sue Group's financial troubles. Afterward, This became the leverage Makoto used against Anna. He believed that Su Group owed him a favor, and no matter how extreme his actions were, Anna couldn't do anything about it. Perhaps that's also why he repeatedly sought out mistresses. But what did this have to do with me? Why did I have to become a part of their game without even knowing about it? Who would take responsibility for my losses? Just as I was thinking about all this, I received a call from Anna. Couldn't have come at a better time. I was about to go find her and get to the bottom of all this. Chapter 10. She was pretty straightforward about it and admitted everything. And the situation was basically just as I had guessed. But why could she accept that Makoto was messing around with so many women? Yet she couldn't tolerate Willow's actions. Her answer was, "The time has come. Our Su Group is no longer under the control of the Ito Group, and we even have evidence of their crimes." "That's also why." I asked. "Why?" She replied, "That's why Makoto doesn't dare to retaliate against you." Right. I had injured him pretty badly, probably enough to end his bloodline. So that's why things had settled down. Su Group was secretly pulling the strings. I asked, "What about all those fake news articles online, where you and I supposedly conspired to frame him? Did he release those to strike back at you? Or did you create a diversion and purposely blow the matter out of proportion?" She shook her head and said, "That's not important." She smiled as she pressed her lips together. "You just need to know that I got what I wanted." Her objective was definitely achieved. And it was perfect. Not only had she successfully broken off her engagement with Makoto and escaped Ito Group's control, but she also took this opportunity to smear them and, at the same time, used public sympathy to boost Su Group's reputation, fame, and influence. In fact, she gained over 5 million followers from that live stream and became an overnight internet sensation. It was a perfect shot at multiple targets. But what about me? Had I really been nothing but a pawn used from start to finish? Thinking about the impact this had on me, how I had been manipulated and used, I was seething with rage. Just as I was about to shout at her, she suddenly held out a glass of wine to me and said, "The betrayed boy. Calm down. Let me explain." I grabbed the glass, ready to throw it, but she added, "Don't waste it. It's very expensive. One sip costs tens of thousands." I stopped in my tracks. I felt a tightness in my chest, like I was suffocating. She continued, "Whether or not I did the live stream, Willow's infidelity is a fact, right? Isn't it better to see her true colors now than after marriage?" She spoke seriously. "Not notifying you in advance was my mistake. But if you think about it from a different perspective, the fact that this became a viral topic online isn't all bad, right? At least we became famous." I asked, "What's the point of fame? Everyone knows that my fiancé cheated on me. What's so great about that fame?" She replied, "So what? You're the victim, not the one who cheated. Do you know how many followers my account gained from that live stream? Over 5 million. I asked, "So what?" She said, "We can monetize it. We can start making money now." Her words were slowly starting to make my brain short-circuit. She continued, "Anyway, you know that I'm a rich heiress. The last thing I lack is money. I can set up a company, hire the best team to manage the account, and you can be the boss. All the profits will go to you." I even thought of a name for the account, The Betrayed Boy and The Betrayed Girl. What do you think? Cool, right? Seeing my hesitation, she continued to play on my emotions. "Actually, I know that you don't really like being a doctor. You were forced into medical school by your parents, right? Since that's the case, why not try something new, like making short videos? To be honest, that day when you were so cool, don't just think about short videos. You could even make an action movie. If you're serious about it, I can have my father fund a movie for you." I said, all right, stop with the pipe dreams." I glared at her and said, Come on. You expect me to believe anything you say. Since you claim you're rich, how about transferring me 2 million just to prove it? Consider it compensation for my mental anguish. She snorted and said, Too little. That's small thinking. I'll give you 5 million. Just as I was about to retort that, she was just issuing empty promises. She added, I'll give it to you in cash. It wasn't until bags of money appeared at my house that I truly believed that. Sue's young lady wasn't joking. I lay on top of the piles of money, staring at the ceiling. My mind was a bit hazy. Had this really happened? Had I really become a millionaire just like that? Had Anna set me up? Later, she proved with her actions that she was serious about starting a short video career and becoming a social media influencer. She registered a media company called Hatred for Love Runs Deep. As she'd predicted, the account continued to gain popularity. Fans were obsessed with the betrayed boy and the betrayed girl, and many suggested that we debut as a duo. Just as I was hesitating to quit my job and join her, I learned that Willow had been discharged from the hospital and went straight to my house. She easily persuaded my mom to agree to our marriage. And that was that. Really, was it never going to end? I turned around, ready to confront her, but Anna suddenly stopped me and said, Stop being so stubborn. Willow is the kind of woman you can't just go head-to-head with. Let me handle it. Not long after, I heard that Willow was being pursued by several men, but she refused to accept any of them and couldn't stop thinking about me. However, those men went crazy the moment they heard that Willow was trying to find me. She was left with no choice but to stop mentioning me altogether. Later, I heard that she seemed to have contracted some sort of disease, and her health had deteriorated to the point where no man would ever want to marry her again. With her condition, she probably wouldn't live long. As for Makoto, after Anna had done her thing, Ito Group was on the brink of bankruptcy, and the key person responsible had been jailed for tax issues. This meant that Makoto was no longer the untouchable rich second-generation heir. He probably regretted ever meeting Anna, let alone falling in love with her. But life is a one-way journey. No matter what, you can't go back. You can only keep moving forward. So, I ultimately decided to let go of the past and go along with Anna. We began making short videos together. She kept her promise and gave me all the profits. In a short time, I achieved financial independence. My parents could no longer control me and instead started encouraging me to make things real with Anna. Netizens occasionally speculated about whether our relationship was scripted or if we were really falling in love. But I didn't offer much explanation. After all, I still had many questions I couldn't answer. Why did Anna want to collaborate with me? How did she know so much about me? When did she start paying attention to me? Did she really feel like the betrayed for me? All of these questions remained unanswered. What I did know was that she had used me and then compensated me with money, and I was quite satisfied with the life I was living now. That was enough. As for the rest, we'll see what happens later.